Hello, everybody. I'm Vincent Maret. I'm a partner within KPMG France in charge of cybersecurity and privacy consulting activities. And I'm very happy to welcome Jonathan Dambrot. Jonathan is a former KPMG partner and now is the CEO and co-founder of Cranium, a startup dedicated on AI security. Thank you, Jonathan, to be here. And we are going to first talk about the problem statement, I would say, on AI security. And then Jonathan will talk about the Cranium startup and the product he's developing with his team in order to enable companies to deploy and use secured AI. Jonathan?
Thanks, Vincent, and thanks, everybody. So, you know, what the problem statement that Vincent was talking about, we're going to go to the problem statement. Okay. What Vincent's talking about is that AI is a topic that is in everybody's mind right now, right? But over the last 2 years, we've seen AI start to get embedded into every single business process in almost every single organization of any size. But when we started asking the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, what they were doing to actually look at the adversarial security threats of AI, we talked to about 100 of them. Guess how many people said, we have this covered? None. That was our experience. Nobody had security covered for AI as they were publishing this with their most sensitive data into models that they really didn't understand and making the most important decisions of their companies. And so what we're seeing is that AI is revolutionizing almost every process, but we're just at the beginning. So our research shows that about 25% of the investments have actually hit production. And as we look at the organizations getting coverage over AI security, and we're going to talk a little further about what that means, almost nobody is prepared. So this is what we've seen as we were inside of KPMG. And when we look at how this worked, I'm so sorry. This is the technology that does it. So can we go to the next slide? Okay. So this is actually the most important aspect of this whole project was the innovation that was born out of KPMG and how it came forward. So Vincent, I don't know if maybe talk a little bit about how we think about this, but KPMG has been building AI systems and thinking about cybersecurity for quite a while, right?
Yes, we have, of course, since I would say 10 years. Specialists focusing on helping companies designing and deploying and managing AI system for solving business problem. And but we also have this view of we need to secure those systems against attacks. And even though those attacks are not yet I mean, there are more coming from academic studies. People have been, researchers have been discovering new ways to attack AI. And so it's, as of today, it's not mainstream, but we know that it can happen because the science says that it can happen. So you were in this process, Jonathan, and tell me the story of Cranium.
Yeah, so we were using AI inside of my third-party security practice. So I led that business globally for KPMG, and we were using AI in the delivery of that practice. We had built 16 different models to support, looking at third-party risks around vendor risk. And when we started thinking about the security, the question of how to secure it started popping up. So what I did is I pitched the firm. So just like you would pitch any other investor, I pitched the firm on building a capability to actually start building a software company that we incubated inside the KPMG studio. So when I pitched this, the firm came back within 3 days They gave me $3 million to start building the software practice inside of the KPMG studio. And we built two things. One, a software platform, which ended up being Cranium, which we spun out, kind of in the first line, and the AI security services that wrapped around it so that we could actually implement this into the biggest companies in the world. So as of March 6th, we actually brought in a secondary investor, Sin Ventures, which is one of the largest global cyber investors in the world, with KPMG, and we spun the business out of the studio. It's the first spin out of in KPMG's history as a software spin out. And it has been it's been tremendous to really look at. We worked with early adopters, including the largest financial services, life sciences, CPG companies, and retail companies in the world, and we were able to show that we could protect AI systems against these major adversarial risks, and now we're able to bring this to the rest of the world as we've launched this publicly. So we came out of stealth April 6th, and it's been just an incredible ride watching how innovation can happen inside of KPMG, one of the biggest companies, working with clients to solve this and investing in this innovation.
So maybe to dig a little bit on the problem statement and how Cranium can solve, can we maybe go on the next slide, if it works?
Yeah, I think we just need to get to the next slide, if you don't mind.
Okay. So AI and generative AI has made, since 1 year, 6 months, has made to the headlines because of the capacity, the capability that it gives to everybody with access to an internet connection. And so we all played with ChatGPT or GPT-4 prompt, for example. But and there are huge possibilities, potential use of this generative AI, but there are also risks, and those risks are already made to headlines. So we got the story of what happened to Samsung. Obviously, there was some employees using ChatGPT, and in the data they submitted to ChatGPT were sensitive data. So obviously, that's not a good thing if you got some confidential intellectual property data. We have a lot of reporting done on this, but behind the headlines, as I introduced earlier, you got today real risk and different risk, and I would say some of those risks are really, how can you say, they are not classical risks. This brand new type of risk, and so can you elaborate maybe on those? Explain a little bit on those risks and those type of attacks?
Yeah, and I think the reality is this is moving so fast that people just don't think about this. And what we're seeing is the introduction of AI is leading people to just use it and over-trust the AI system, right? So in some of these cases, people are trying to train these models with sensitive data that, in Samsung's case, led to an issue where they couldn't actually patent some technologies that they had in their development environment, and they used OpenAI to really try to help them, but it ultimately led to effectively an unpatentable product that they had been developing over time. And we're seeing these risks. If we go to the next slide, we're seeing these risks both from an enterprise perspective as well as from a generative perspective. And as organizations are thinking about these things, we need to think a little bit differently. These are a new vernacular around what are the things that organizations need to think about. So these might be new terms to you as you're thinking about the use of AI in your own organization, but data poisoning, right? How are your models actually using data, and can you identify whether or not those models are poisoned or the data itself is poisoned? Some people don't think about the insider threats from a security perspective, but a lot of organizations are spending a ton of money on developing their models or bringing foundational models, and what happens here is that training becomes very expensive. So stealing these models is one of the things that people should be concerned about. In some systems, especially cybersecurity systems, getting around these models can mean that they make these systems ineffective. And what we've done is we've had some research, our researchers have identified that if you have a backdoor in an AI system today, the likelihood of you catching that with your standard cybersecurity tools is almost zero. And so having a mechanism that enables you to really look at these things is going to be imperative as you're scaling your AI systems up. But this has not really been part of the dialogue as people have been moving forward with all their AI.
And maybe to elaborate a little bit, you have new ways of attacking AIs, and it means that once you put an AI into production in order to, for example, do authentication on biometric feature, the day you use an AI to do some prediction on to take a financial decision, for example, well, imagine that there are some malicious person able to modify using those attacks the behavior of AI, and then you have potential impact that can be very serious. You can take a decision, financial decision, an investment decision based on poison data, and you end up losing millions. You may have, for example, backdoors in authentication data, which means that imagine you just wear a red hat and suddenly the AI will authenticate you as another person. That's as simple as that, because somebody has put a backdoor into the facial recognition AI. So that means that you have theoretical attacks that has been studied by researchers, by scientists, but you also have to think about the potential business impact of such attacks when you put an AI into operational production mode.
If we go to the next slide, I think the other thing to comment here is, when you look at your data, the regulations also are starting to hit, right? We just saw the EU AI Act, which is obviously important, but globally, almost every country is now focused on building regulations that cover safe and secure AI. And this becomes a really important aspect as you go into these systems, because to date, people just have been taking data, they've been pulling it down, they've been pulling open source models and publishing your data, whether it be healthcare information or your financial data, through models without your knowledge, right? And so we need better protection around it. And we're starting to see this hit, and these are some of the things that we really need to start to cover around. How do we provide safe and secure AI? How do we think about bias? And MITRE has done a really nice job of actually identifying these risks and publishing them in a framework that enables you to see what are those kind of key cybersecurity issues that you need to think about in AI.
And this is a pending work, because there are other bodies such as ENISA, for example, which is the cybersecurity agency at European level, that just published some work on AI security. So there is a bunch of control framework being built by different organizations. And there is also, of course, regulation. So the AI Act was voted 2 years ago at the European Parliament. And there will be also regulation on the US side. You can bet that there will be, in the years to come, AI regulation in the United States of America.
So, what do we do about it? So we launched Cranium. So this is the product that came out of the 2 years of incubation, and it focuses in two core areas. One is a cybersecurity platform that sits inside of your AI system and gives you visibility against things like data poisoning, model theft, and all of the things that we just talked about in a very easy to use system. It deploys without changing the way that your organizations use AI. And we're here launching at Vivitech Cranium AI Card. So when we look at the regulations and transparency around AI, you need a simple way to do that today. And that's what we do between Cranium AI Security Platform and Cranium AI Card. And we have a demo also at the booth, so we've gotten quite a bit of interest in seeing how this can apply to your organization. So you want to should we show like what we've learned through the process?
I think that one of the important aspects of Cranium is the the mapping and the documentation capability, what we've seen is that there is a great expectation today from regulators and even from the public opinion on transparency on AI. And so it means that companies, and that's also in the AI Act, companies will have to know exactly what AI they are developing, what they are using, how they are built, or they are tested, or their quality is tested, and this will be there will be a need for documentation and even for publishing documentation, such as all stakeholders are able to know to know a great deal on how it is working and how it has been built and how the security is ensured.
Yeah, and what we found is we started working on the model security piece initially, and all of our clients and design partners, they actually said, we don't even know what AI systems we have. So we ended up having to back that out. So when we started thinking about this originally, we moved to really just driving discovery and identification of the AI systems. So if I were to ask you what AI systems are you using in your companies, most people just don't know. So we wanted a simple way to map the AI, monitor the AI for the security, do this in a really easy way, and now, based on like what we're seeing with generative AI and enterprise AI coming together, meet the transparency, compliance, and supply chain requirements that organizations have. So we built that into Cranium today. And what we found was that effectively, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. So what we found was that in a very diverse AI system environment, we needed an easy way that our clients said, you cannot change the way that AI works. We need an easy way to get into the system, manage the visibility, but also all of the detection environments so that we can understand what models are there, how secure they are, without changing the way that data science works. And we were able to accomplish that through the use of our design partners so that we could really understand not only just cloud deployments in the major hyperscalers, but the on-prem support for all of these AI services as well. And we found that every single large client that was starting to embed AI, whether that be generative AI or enterprise AI, fundamentally didn't have these controls in place. They couldn't understand how data was flowing, and they couldn't understand how to do that without stopping or blocking it. And we were able to accomplish that in our design process. And that was one of the big things that we learned. And then the other piece, if we go to the next slide, was really thinking about how do we bring this all together, right? And so we talked about the regulations, we talked about how fast this is moving, but we really need a place to really start looking at how do we give visibility and transparency to the AI in such a way that it meets the client requirement for speed, where they can publish it to a website, sort of like GDPR from a privacy perspective, but in the future, you're going to need to get visibility if there's an AI system being run. You're going to want to know, especially for a critical system. You want to be able to publish this to the regulators, and then ultimately to your clients who want to be able to get visibility into this as well. And so this is what we're launching here today to meet these requirements for visibility, transparency, and compliance. And this is what it looks like. So if we go to the next slide, we made this super easy. So with a single touch on top of those pipelines, you can meet your EU AI Act requirements, you can meet your core security requirements, both internally and being able to get visibility through supply chain. And with some of the ISO standards that are coming up, you'll be able to see all of the pipelines, the models, the data sets, the experiments, and be able to publish this to your website and be able to showcase how you're using AI securely and in a compliant way. So we're really excited about this. This is really going to be leading the market in terms of being able to meet this. And KPMG has wrapped a service around this that enables this to actually get embedded.
I think that if we can do a comparison with GDPR, there is today a real expectation from the people whose data is are being collected and processed. There is a real expectation of knowing what is being done with this data, and this transparency is going to be an absolute necessity for companies using AI. You won't be able to develop AI system without being able to explain what they do and to justify that they do not do harm to people, because that's the one of the risks of AI is to take biased decision, for example, that will discriminate against a specific person, a group of persons. So that means that you will need to have this communication, this transparency. So of course it's some kind of new, because we are not accustomed to this kind of transparency when you are using classical software. But in case of AI, because of the risk of those new type of risk, one of the solution, and that's in the AI Act, and that will be in other regulation, you have this transparency expectation, and Cranium is something that allows you to simply do that.
So, when we look at, how this came together, the big ticket for us is innovation is working at KPMG. We identified these issues that our clients were having. We brought together a combination of investment in a core technology, a spin out, all the services around it, and I get to live my dream by basically building a company that leads the market in AI security with one of the best companies in the world. So this has been a dream for me. The team here at KPMG France has been unbelievable. It's my first Vivitech, so thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Don't know if you've got questions, remarks.
Have you thought about AI security before? Has this been a topic at all that you have all thought about? Or is this the first time you're really even thinking about it? Yeah. Do you think about your data as it goes into AI systems at all? In the companies that are starting to use AI, it's been the whole conversation, right? They have to get your data to support that. Wouldn't it be nice to really understand that it's secure and compliant?
I think that one of the points that I've been doing cybersecurity for 25 years, and we've seen when I was much younger, there was the first company were connecting to the internet, were using emails for the first time, workstation, and we didn't really see the risk related to that. And 25 years after, we have ransomware that are putting companies down in a very bad way. So I think that why I'm interested in AI security and why I asked Cranium to attend Vivatech is that it would be great if we don't wait 20 years to solve the AI security, and if you try to solve AI security right now and not in 20 years to come. So I hope that with you, we'll do that.
I hope so too. Well, and if we accomplish our mission, I think the use of AI, this fear that we have of AI, we can moderate it. My other fear is that we don't get this right, and all of those things that people are concerned about, start to become true with AI. But I think I'm very hopeful that we're going to be able to do this together. So thank you so much.
So have you guys thought about using AI to provide security, so that AI is solving the email problem and the data problem? So
that's right.
It's kind of the inverse problem. Since you guys are focused on the security as the core.
Yep.
Actually, the AI can be a solution, but it can also be a weapon. It can also be used by bad guys, and it can be a target. So if you are optimistic, you say, okay, AI will solve the stuff. If you are pessimistic, you say that maybe not. And frankly, we don't really know how it is going to unfold.
But that was also the genesis of Cranium. So I was actually using AI to solve third-party security. And we built 16 models that we were deploying to the biggest companies in the world. And unfortunately, we started asking simple questions like, what are we doing to secure this of our data science teams? And I asked the clients as we were deploying this, and the answers were horrible. So we were using AI, and then we needed to, that's how we figured out we also needed to secure it. Yeah.
There is a lady wedding sign that we need to stop, though, so I guess that we can carry on the discussion offsite.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot.